And now that we are here in the wintertime in the Pacific Northwest, you never know when you're going to get that snow and ice event.
And so we have a few tips for you to get your garden ready for all those snow events.
And one of those tips is protecting our plants in the landscape. So when we get the ice or snow coming, we can cover those plants to give them a little bit of insulation. So here we have an old shower curtain that works great to cover it. It's plastic, so it's not going to get soaked up and get frozen, but it's great just to drape over those plants so we can get a little bit of insulation. You know, sometimes you can use like old packing blankets and towels and things like that. But if they get wet and soaked with all that moisture, they tend to freeze and you could do some damage with the plants. So the plastic works great for that. So we're doing that. I'm going to go get ready for the next tip, and I'll see you in a bit.
All right. Well, you know, there may be still leaves on the ground, but don't worry, you can really use those for your beds. It's a great idea just to rake those leaves right into your bed. It'll help insulate the plants. It also helps the soil not get compacted by all the winter rains. And also in the springtime, you could leave it in or you can rake them off. You know, they're a great mulch any time of the year.
And so our next tip is what to do with our plants and planters that are on our decks or patios. So when we have them on this, that are on a nice wheeled container, we can mount this underneath the eaves and the overhangs right up next to the house. And what this will do is the house will insulate our plants, give a little bit of warmth. It also keeps it out of the weather. So when the cold winds and things like that, they'll do damage, and also keeps the heavy snows from falling on them. One thing when they are up against the house like this and underneath the eaves is to remember the moisture. Since it's not raining under there, we need to look at the pots, check the moisture underneath to make sure they're watered. The other thing is when even the plants that are underneath the eaves that are not in pots aren't getting rained on. So the soils stay dry, which will stress out the plants if they're not getting watered. So we do need to check the water on the plants underneath the eaves and the pots up against the house.
Another good tip is to prune back roses and tall shrubs that might get damaged in the snow and ice. They'll break and severely damage them for future blooming. So all you have to do at this time of the year is get your pruners and just trim them back to maybe waist high, and then you won't have that damage when the snow and ice arrive.
And our final tip is to remember our larger trees. So when we have all this snow and ice that builds up and accumulates on these branches, it adds that extra weight that we need to watch out so the branches aren't breaking out of the tree or splitting out. One way to reduce that snow and ice is to come out either with like a rake or a big broom, and you can kind of brush those out to reduce that weight. It's also good to start out on the lower branches and work your way up. So if you start at the top, you get all of the snow that's dropping down on the bottom branches, you can cause more damage.
And if you really have a big snow load and it's on a branch that's really integral to the tree, go get a 2x4 and put it under that branch to support it, and it'll really save that limb. And we really hope that all of these tips will help your garden survive the winter this year.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
The seasons are definitely changing, but at Portland Nursery, the one thing that never changes is our commitment to you, our customer. Whether it's helping you get ready for the holidays or getting your garden ready for the next growing season, Portland Nursery has the experts to help you prepare. Stop by and see what's new for your home or garden, then take home something special for the season. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people, at 50th and Stark or 90th and Division.
Judy, what are you doing?
You said to follow you.
Follow us on Facebook.
Oh, man. Well, we invite all of our viewers to follow the Garden Time page on Facebook.
And on our Facebook page, you'll find links to stories, you'll see upcoming events, and you also might even find a funny joke or two.
So don't forget, go to the gardentime.tv webpage and click the link for Facebook.
You work hard in the garden. Shouldn't your gloves do the same? Garden Like a Girl makes gloves and apparel from natural, recycled, and organic materials. Garden Like a Girl gloves will help you tackle any job. They are designed to fit, protect your hands and nails, and they last. Plus, 10% of our profits go to cancer research. To learn more about Garden Like a Girl products, go to our website, gardenlikeagirl.com. Garden Like a Girl, ruggedly feminine.
Don't let the cold and wet get you this winter. Warm up to a season of heat with Grimm's Fuel. Grimm's has plenty of wood and heating oil ready to deliver to keep you warm all winter long. Stay warm and cozy with Grimm's Fuel.
Well, I bet everyone's making that gift list. Well, I am at Terra Casa with Diana, and she has got some great ideas for maybe the fellow in our lives. So what about these wonderful clocks?
Well, so this is a great gift, I think, for a guy. These are themed. We have race car wheel. We have the great submarine. There's airplane. The little old-fashioned TV. They're just fun. There's gears used in them, and I don't know. I was fascinated by them, and I'm getting one. Maybe don't tell anyone. I'm getting one for my son for Christmas. So I don't know. I just think it's really it's elegant and very nice to give a man for a gift for Christmas.
And I love that they're the old-fashioned clocks. I mean, I think that we're all done with the LEDs or whatever. And this, I don't know, it's something that's timeless because it's the old-fashioned that you have to tell the time with the hands.
And it's a piece of art too.
It
yes,
is, very much.
They're very, and we have a robot back here too. He's
that's
very
clever.
cute. Yes, he's got wrenches for arms.
That
so
is very
they're
clever.
fun. I think it's going to be a great gift item. There's business card holders and little figurines as well.
Really a nice collection to choose from. And then we're going to go to another part of the store that you have some other gifts for maybe the girls that you need to buy
definitely
gifts
for the girls.
All
yes.
right. Diana, this section here is filled with gift ideas, so please tell us about a few.
So I'm really into the girlfriend gift thing, and I have dubbed this the year of the cocktail for obvious reasons. So we have quite a few new things. There's a new food called Eat Your Drink. And these are cocktail flavored gummies that actually have a little bit of booze in them, and you can put them in your pocket and take them with you if you're going somewhere. Along with that, we have the wonderful theme wine glasses for birthdays and girlfriends and all kinds of fun things. Brewmate is one of our best-selling hydration lines. They do martini glasses and sippers, and there's just a lot of really fun little gifty things in this area.
And I love the coffee mugs and the flour sack towels, so tell us about those.
So we like to laugh. We need to laugh. And there's a lot of new flour sack towels having to do with quarantine, the COVID thing. Just a lot of really fun things to give as stocking stuffers, as gifts for girlfriends, moms, sisters, and we try to have a very nice selection for your good friends.
You do, and like you said, we have to laugh, and who else can you laugh with but your friends, right?
Exactly.
Well, when you come out to Terra Casa, there's so many lovely things and fun things. You know, you're all going to be laughing when you're opening those gifts on Christmas morning. So please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to the Terra Casa website and find out how to get out here. But please come out and enjoy all the things that they have for the holiday season. Thanks so much, Diana.
Thank you, Judy.
We're going into the stormy time of the year, so it really is the time to look at the trees around your home. I'm with Logan from Bartlett Tree Experts, and really, what should we be looking at those trees?
Well, we want to start from the ground up. So we want to assess the root system. We want to make sure that there's a visible root collar, and then move up the trunk and look for any defects in the trunk. And then up into the canopy of the tree and look for dead branches, hanging branches, maybe branch defects, which we can go over in a little bit, or if there's been a history of branch failures in the tree. For instance, like this maple behind us. It's lost several large branches, due to decay and from windstorms that have moved through.
So what should we do if that was in our yard? What should we do about that tree?
Well, we would definitely want to take a little closer look at it and determine whether this is a tree that we would want to save or not. So one of the options is always removal, but the other option is to prune the tree, remove some of those hazardous branches, reduce the length of some of the longest overextended branches, and possibly install some cables.
Ah, really? So that would make it safe for your neighbors, for your home, for your family.
Exactly, yes.
And I know that you have some other samples in another part of this area here, so let's go look at those.
All right,
okay.
let's.
Now, Logan, this one has like a split trunk, so should we be worried about it?
Yes, this is a tree that would warrant further investigation. So you do want your arborist to look at this tree. So a lot of times when we do have these large codominant leaders, they're not as strongly attached as a traditional U-shaped branch connection would be, with interlocking layers of branch and trunk and branch and trunk. This has just two trunks pressed up against each other, and actually this one is growing bark on the inside of that attachment, so they are just kind of pressed right up there.
Well, this one is in the middle of a field, so really we wouldn't have to worry so much. If it does cleave apart, it's not going to fall in a house, so we can just kind of monitor it.
Yes, but this would be a good one if it was next to your house to subordinate one of the codominant leaders and possibly install a cable support system in the top of the canopy.
And then the one next to it has a lot of dead wood, so really we should go in there, have you come in and go in there and cut off those dead limbs.
Yeah, this tree does have a lot of large, low dead branches, and dead branches can break out. And there's even some broken and hanging branches in there as well.
And then one of the trunks have like growths on it, and what do you call those growths?
Yeah, so one of the trees that we're going to go look at is a tree that has red ring rot conchs. So these are conchs that do indicate that there is decay in the tree. So that is also something that should be assessed by your arborist.
And then another one, there's a fir tree, and if you didn't know it was a fir, but there's no leaves on it, so really a lot's gone on with that one.
Yeah. So dead trees, do have the possibility of being wind thrown. So if it's recently dead, might not be as big of a deal, but dead trees probably should be removed.
Now you've covered a lot of things on this segment now, but if we forget all of them, is there kind of a cheat sheet on the website?
Yes, on our website we do have a PDF of identifying hazardous trees.
That would really help us all. So if you want to go to the Garden Time website, we do have a link to that PDF, and then you can go to the Bartlett website and maybe give them a call and have your trees assessed. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
At Blooming Junction, fall isn't about winding down, it's about getting ready. In the garden, start the next season off right now. Fall plantings produce healthier, more robust, and drought-tolerant plants than those planted in spring or summer. In the kitchen, get ready for the holidays with fresh, organically grown produce from our fields. So, whether it's for the garden or for the kitchen this season, Blooming Junction is your place for quality, uncommon plants and produce for your home and garden.
Ryan, you need to brush up your look. Ryan, that is better.
It's always better when you show off your Garden Time pride.
Check out the Garden Time store on our webpage for a great selection of Garden Time gifts and apparel. Choose a hoodie, shirt, hat, bag, or mask for yourself or as a gift for the Garden Time fan in your life. See the complete selection on the Garden Time website.
Pick up some Garden Time gear and show your Garden Time pride.
Find everything you need for this holiday season at Al's.
Well, it's our annual meeting with Tom Fisher from Timber Press, and he always has such interesting books for us for the holiday season, for gift giving, and for gardening. So, Tom, thanks so much for coming, and you always have a nice selection, so I love the idea of the first one.
Thanks. This is a great book for the beginning gardener. The New Gardener's Handbook, Grow a Beautiful and Bountiful Garden. The author, Darrell Byers, is on the staff of the New York Botanic Garden, and he teaches classes there, so he knows exactly what it is that new gardeners need to know. And all the basics are here, from soil preparation and site selection to the tools you need, basic information on just easy propagation, like starting plants from cuttings or dividing them and starting seeds, how to choose plants, what the best plants are going to be for the conditions you have in your yard, whether you've got sun or shade or good drainage or not so good drainage. And it's all illustrated both with really good, sharp illustrations and photographs. I mean, these are real life situations. It's not just fantasy. And it's the kinds of situations and conditions that real gardeners encounter in their yards. So if you don't have a clue about how to get started and you really want to garden, it's all in there, and it includes both ornamentals and vegetable gardens.
You know, that's so great, and especially this year. There's so many new gardeners out there, and
yeah.
they need as much help. And as far as our veterans too, I mean, we always need tips and tricks.
Yeah,
and
it's
all
always
that.
good to be reminded of the basics.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And man, the second one, been waiting for this new book
So
to come
this is
out.
great, yes. Windcliff, a story of people, plants, and gardens, is the story of Dan Hinckley's wonderful garden at Windcliff. Now, Dan is a really beloved figure here in the Pacific Northwest. He was the creator of Heronswood Nursery up in Washington, which for many years was like the destination for fanatic gardeners. I mean, Dan's a plant collector. He spent decades scouring the world for new interesting garden plants and bringing them back and testing them and seeing how they can work in our gardens. And so Heronswood closed a few years ago, but then it reopened. Dan is now at the helm again, hosting it as a public garden. But this is really about the creation of his personal garden, Windcliff, which is on a beautiful site on bluffs overlooking Puget Sound and has a view of Mount Rainier and the Seattle skyline in the background. But Dan has created this very personal, beautiful garden with all the plants that he has collected over the decades. And it goes through every part of the garden, showing you what he's planted, what his goals were, and how it's all worked out. And the photography is by a young Australian photographer named Claire Takash, who's really one of the greatest garden photographers working right now. So it's gorgeous photography. The writing is in Dan's typical warm, humorous, inviting manner. It's just a delightful book to read. And really, and it's a book, actually the garden is open to the public a few times a year. So if you're in the area, you can go online and find out when it's going to be open and plan your visit. But in the meantime, you can read about it in this wonderful book with its gorgeous photos and really delightful story.
And I think this next one too is another one to be inspiring for us for next year.
Yes, Greg Lode's, who is a British author, The Modern Cottage Garden. People love the cottage garden. They love the fact that it's bountiful, it's full of floral color most months of the year. It's got that lovely, soft, welcoming feeling that people like so much. The thing is, there are other garden currents going right now, and what Greg does in this book is to blend the feel and the look of the traditional cottage garden with the exciting developments of the new perennial movement that people like Pete Audolph have pioneered. And so Greg takes the best elements from both these garden styles and blends them together and shows you how you can achieve a look that's both modern and traditional at the same time, just the best elements of both. Both in terms of plant choice and in terms of the way it looks. And it's actually an excellent book for people with small gardens or even just a balcony, because he talks a lot about containers and combining plants in containers to create a really lush garden-like look. So if you've got a small property and you just want to experiment a little bit in a traditional yard, there's really lots of information in there, including the 50 best plants for achieving the cottage garden look, as well as really good practical information.
Wow, so really something for all kinds of gardeners there.
Exactly.
Nice. And this one's kind of interesting, kind of a change up.
It is. Paige Dickey is really one of our best garden writers. She became famous for her garden called Duck Hill, which was in northern Westchester County, and she wrote several books about it. She's a wonderful garden writer. But she and her husband were getting a little older, and they decided they needed to make a change. So they sold their place in Westchester County and moved to northwestern Connecticut. And actually, the interesting thing is, you think they would have downscaled a little bit. They actually wound up buying a larger property than they used to have. But they're gardening it in a very different way. They're really doing a lot more with wild gardening, with encouraging native plants, and with doing less that's artificial and very labor intensive, and more that's like working with the landscape and the plants that are there in order to create both a beautiful and a wildlife friendly environment. And she's one of the best writers. You can sit down in your armchair and read this, and it's just totally delightful. And I think it really speaks to people who are getting up there and who have been gardening for a while and looking for different ways to garden as they get a little older. But also, it's just a lovely read.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I think this one is another good one for us.
Yes, David Culp. David Culp is a gardener just outside of Philadelphia area. He wrote several years ago a book called The Layered Garden, which had lots of exciting gardening ideas in it. This takes that idea a little bit further and talks about the various parts of the garden. And the interesting thing about the book is that he divides it into the gardening year, into 6 seasons rather than 4. He talks about early spring and late spring as being separate seasons, mainly because very different plants grow at those times of year, and also early fall and late fall as we transit into winter. There's not just a lot of good practical garden advice. There's also delightful recipes from that part of Pennsylvania. There's information about how you can create beautiful, simple floral arrangements for your home with what you're growing in your garden, as well as interesting color palettes of plants that are growing at specific times of year, showing how they all work together in terms of color and texture and foliage. So it's just again, it's delightfully written. It's photographed by Rob Cardillo, who's one of the best garden photographers going right now. So both for practical advice and to show how you can just expand your own gardening life into different areas you might not have suspected. It's full of all that kind of information and just a joy to read.
We're always looking how to add more plants, so I think it tells us how we can do that.
It does indeed.
Lovely. And then for all of us, we haven't been able to travel, so really this is really going to feed that.
Yes, Adventures in Eden. The author, Carolyn Mullett, leads garden tours of Europe. And this is the fruit of her years of discovering little-known gardens in Europe and beyond. She really takes you on these wonderful, intimate tours of gardens throughout both the United Kingdom and the continent. There are wonderful places like the Jardin Plume in France, Peter Korn's Habitat Garden in Norway, as well as gardens you could encounter in the UK and in Ireland. Helen Dillon's brand new garden outside of Dublin. And they're really lovely little intimate portraits, and it's also supplemented with beautiful photography. And lots of these gardens are open to the public at various times of year, so it's a great opportunity to sit back and plan your next garden tour when we're able to travel again and enjoy these things. But in the meantime, you get to experience it vicariously by reading Carolyn's book.
Oh, and it is a lovely picture book too, lovely photos,
Yes.
and so much great information. So where can we find all these we're going to give them to ourselves as gifts and to our friends
Sure.
and family?
You can go to the Timberpress website, timberpress.com. They're also all available on Amazon right now, and Carolyn's book is probably still available for pre-order right now. It'll be published on December 8th. So yes, there are many outlets where you can find these books.
Tom, thank you so much. We always enjoy meeting with Tom, and there are some really good books that are going to be on your shelf this winter.
My
Thanks
pleasure,
so much.
Judy.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
At Capital Subaru, we've been here through it all. For you, your family, the furry friends, and our community. And right now, when you buy or lease any new Subaru during the SUBARU Share the Love event, Subaru will donate $250 to charity. It's a big commitment we gladly make. And the fact is, we're growing. Our future is big. Like our commitment to our Capital Subaru family. Come see us on the Parkway and get ready for big things in 2021.
Find everything you need for this holiday season at Owls.
For 4 generations, Sealy Mint has grown and harvested the highest quality mint and mint oil. The commitment to quality is found in all of their signature handmade Sealy Mint products. Their mint patties, mint melts, and peppermint bark all use pure mint oils and not synthetic flavorings. Now for the holidays, you can also enjoy their handmade peppermint and spearmint candy canes and ribbon candy. You can find Sealy Mint products at your favorite market and selected gift stores, or you can order them online. Sealy Mint. Real farmers, real mint.
Don't let the cold and wet get you this winter. Warm up to a season of heat with Grimm's Fuel. Grimm's has plenty of wood and heating oil ready to deliver to keep you warm all winter long. Stay warm and cozy with Grimm's Fuel.
Well, it's harvest season, and today we are harvesting mint, which is super exciting. I'm out here in Klatskanai with Mike Seeley. And yes, we are related. Whole different story on that we'll do later. But we're in a mint field. So Mike, tell us, what do we have in the fields?
So this is native spearmint. We raise both heirloom black Mitcham peppermint and native spearmint. And right now we're harvesting the native spearmint. It's a little bit of a race because they're talking rain by Monday evening, and we have to get this harvested by then, or else if it gets rained on, it'll turn the oil red. And I mean dark red. And we want a clear oil is what we're out after, a light green to clear oil.
Right, and your harvesting mint gets harvested a couple times a year, right?
On native spearmint, we harvest it twice because it evolved to be a very aggressive plant. And so it'll bloom in early July. We'll take that off, and then it will grow back as you see now, and it's starting to bloom, and we'll take a second cutting.
And so we're looking at you said, the spearmint that we're looking at now, and you've already harvested the peppermint. But so how do you harvest this?
So we'll take a swather like you would hay, and we'll cut and windrow it. And then we'll let it dry 2 to 3 days longer if we're going to harvest it for tea leaf, because with tea leaf we combine it. So we have to be able to take it off with the combine. For the oil, we just pick it up with the chopper and chop it and blow it into the mint tubs. And that they have a opening in the front. We blow it in when it's full. Truck driver drops off an empty one, picks up the full one, brings it to the still where we will steam distill it for the oil.
Okay, so then they're taking this, and that's kind of mostly what you're using the mint for, is for the oils, right?
Correct. Even though we have a huge demand for the tea leaf side, the oil side is so far what we're focusing the most on.
For the home gardener that's growing mint at home, they've been told to put it in a pot because it definitely runs and spreads. They're not going to be able to distill it at home, but what are some uses that the home gardener can use with their mint?
So they can dry it and use it as tea leaf. And pick it up, dry it. You want to hang it upside down and let it dry in the sunlight. You can use it in salads. It's great if you consume it. Pepto-Bismol used to be peppermint oil, and that so calms your stomach if you drink it as oil, or if you just eat the leaves. We sometimes put it in the bedding of the pets and stuff like that, so that keeps the fleas and that away and repels the ticks. Gosh, it's got just all sorts.
A lot of uses.
There really is.
For what you can do with your own mint at home.
During the winter, what you also want to do is make sure that you clip it off to ground level and then cover it with about 2 inches of dirt. And the mint will grow back through in the spring, but what that will do is that will break the rust cycle, and that because the rust can't climb up through the soil, and that so you won't see the rust that you would normally see during the summer.
Right. Because it's we were talking earlier about just a little bit of oil goes a long ways, because that's what you're using to flavoring your chocolates and other confections that are really delicious. So.
Well, thank you. But yeah, you have to remember this is pure essential oil. It's not an extract. An extract is 89 to 95% alcohol or sunflower oil. So why use real peppermint or spearmint oil anyway, because you've already messed it up. This is the pure essential oil. 1 pint of our pure peppermint oil will flavor 55,000 sticks of chewing gum, or about 2,500 pounds of chocolate.
Oh wow, so it really is does go a long way. Now that you have all of these oils, what all are you using them for the products that you guys are making?
Why, now we make these, our signature product is our peppermint patties. That's my killer mint patty. We hit a home run with those. And then we have our peppermint bark, and we use our own crushed candy cane on it. We have our dark mint melts. We have our ivory mints, which is a really unique premium Italian white chocolate with a peppermint spearmint twist. We have our 3 candy canes, our pure peppermint, our pure spearmint, our peppermint spearmint blend, and then we have our ribbon candies, and then hopefully we'll have our tea back here in another 2 to 3 weeks, both peppermint tea, spearmint, a peppermint spearmint blend, and a peppermint green tea.
And if people are interested in purchasing, where's the best place for them to go find these Sealy mints?
We're all over in the Pacific Northwest, really all over the U.S. and Canada now. Everywhere from Vancouver, BC to Ottawa to Florida to California. Whole Foods, New Seasons, Market of Choice, Fred Meyer.
So you guys are definitely growing and branching out and trying to take it on. So for more information on where you can find the Sealy mints, you can go to their website, or you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over. So Mike, it's a pleasure to be out here, and it's been great to meet you and learn about the family history, and my connection to you has been fun to and see how mint farming is done in Oregon.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it. And it's been really interesting learning about the family history and that. So it's all tied together.
It's been super cool. So thank you.
Yeah.
proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.